Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Storytelling. This Tech Storytelling is for the business leaders and by the business leader. I'm your host Madan, and with me today I have an amazing guest, Mr. Jignesh Barfiwala. Jignesh, namaste and welcome to the Tech Storytelling.
Hello, Madan. I'm super delighted to be here with you. And I've seen some of your sessions and recordings. They're quite, they're quite good in terms of the perspectives as well as to hear directly from the leaders is amazing. So great initiative.
Great, great. So Jignesh, before we get started, can you please let us know your career trajectory? Who are you? What exactly you are doing? And what's your overall contribution to overall, community and the industry?
For a quick introduction, I'm Jignesh Barfiwala. I'm the managing partner at Prana Ventures. At Prana, we investigate deep technologies and partner with startups and enterprises in exploiting the potential of these technologies. Needless to say, we work with several tech businesses and enterprises and collaborated in the development of their strategy and platforms and growth and adoption and monetization, et cetera, and participated with them and helped them. Clearly, video, AI, and blockchain are the hottest technologies that are being adopted, and is of course seeing a lot of interest from both startups and enterprises alike. Now, to your question, in terms of my career trajectory in blockchain, it's actually
Yeah.
nearly been a decade in this space for me now. First time I ever heard about blockchain was through Bitcoin, right? So back in 2002, two pizzas were bought in Jacksonville, Florida for 10,000 Bitcoins. Imagine that, pizzas and not having to pay via cash or card. Like it's literally free, right? But if you now fast forward 10 years, those 10,000 Bitcoins are worth more than $410 million on today's exchange rate, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just hope the
Oh
pizza
yeah.
maker probably held on to those
Yeah. Yeah.
10,000 bitcoins. So
So.
that was the first, and I was intrigued, right?
Mhm.
And obviously, then read the Satoshi paper and learned about the underlying technology, which is blockchain, which is quite revolutionary. And particularly bringing it into context in this space, I've been in the fintech space for almost over 2 decades on Wall Street. In the post 2008 subprime crisis era, regulatory fines literally punctuated the state of affairs in the financial markets. Wall Street firms were therefore looking at new tech to address the systemic issues and the risks. And blockchain seemed just poised around that time. Of course, it came through the Satoshi paper where there was this whole friction or tension between Main Street and Wall Street, where why do we have to rely, why do the big banks have to be bailed out by the government, which is essentially taxpayers' money? Why cannot we have decentralized organizations? And that was the whole interest in blockchain from a big tech. And several large high-profile initiatives were undertaken
Yeah.
at the early part of last decade. So just to name a couple of them, for example, the R3 consortium was formed where literally all of the leading banks, be it JP Morgan, be it Citibank, be it HSBC, and you can name any other bank, global marquee logo, were all participating in this so that they come out with a unified approach as against everybody doing their own work in blockchain. So as part of that whole generation where, I got initiated into the blockchain space, given by the pandemic, as well as, this whole new protocol and approach that Satoshi put together.
This is great. I mean, great to see that since last maybe decade or maybe you're walking into this space. So out of curiosity, I mean, as you talk about the 2018 crashes and especially Lehman Brothers. So, so there are two aspects of my questions. Do you think if blockchain or decentralized technology could have been adopted way back in last decades, probably this could have been detected earlier, the entire failure. And my next second question, as you talked about Citibank and all the banks, do you think that the next set of evolution or maybe the next set of the business operating model into the bank, the blockchain is going to completely revamp the way banks works in the current situation?
So there are two parts to your question. Could the crisis have been predicted? I think, it's my personal opinion that, always new trends and businesses lead, the regulation, if you will, or will lead systems and processes, right? So if you're looking at blockchain as a technology that potentially could have prevented this, I mean, everybody knows, everybody who's been out there in the industry, no amount of technology or no amount of systems and processes are adequate enough to prevent something.
Yeah,
Yes, will the technology help detect something post facto? But it's post facto, right? So the simple point is, perhaps with blockchain, yes, as a technological, it would have made it that much more difficult, because by definition blockchain is decentralized, and it's,
yeah,
the rules are codified and by way of software contracts. But practically we also know that in blockchain today, for example, if you look at the mining pools, what is called as,
hmm,
which is nothing but cohorts of, literally 20%, 27% of mining is done by three sets of groups in the world, right? Now, what
hmm,
if these combine with the
yeah,
next three largest set of groups to have more than 50%, cohortization, if you will, in terms of mining interest in the Bitcoin network? I mean, that even that is bound to fail. So,
yeah,
so when you look at blockchain as just as a purely as a technology, yes, to summarize my answer, it can help prevent by making it that much more difficult for rogue elements or for greed to take over. However, if you now look at blockchain as a framework with political implications,
yeah.
organizational implications, data implications, technology implications, business implications, that's the whole framework where blockchain is truly, truly
Yeah,
revolutionary.
yeah, we'll little talk about the challenges, but this is Jignesh, this is the theme of the storytelling, right? So primarily, I mean, where I'm coming to, since you have a very in-depth knowledge into the industry, especially not only into the blockchain, you have experience into digital transformation, AI, and in fact, you are helping your customer to how to monetize it, right? So would you tell us, our viewer, one business case, especially into blockchain that industry has adopted, and what kind of benefit, I mean, the outcome they got out of this entire transformation? That would be great.
Sure, maybe I'll squeeze in more than one. Pertinent to our times today of pandemic, right? In fact, it's very, very heartening and pertinent to know that blockchain has been used in vaccine manufacture and tracking. Now, one would say, why would somebody need something for, a blockchain or any technology to do vaccine tracking, for example, right? And tracking and distribution. If you read the news, there's so much of counterfeit vaccines out there in the market, particularly in the emerging markets and in the less advanced markets, right? So now blockchain has been used to prevent these counterfeits. So using blockchain, the authenticity of the vaccine shipments can be proven right from the makers or the pharma companies, and that entire distribution can be traced to ensure that they are arriving at their intended locations, right? Now this is completely a back-end process, so you and me as consumers or as as a layperson, common person, wouldn't know about this. But this is a very to me, this is one of the very powerful use cases
Mhm.
of blockchain, where this literally affects the lives of millions and millions of people on the earth. So I did want to call that out. Very novel use cases in the context of India in 2022. For example, there's been an Indian wedding that happened in the metaverse,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And when I say, and it happened in Pune, right, in your city, where the wedding vows were solemnized over an Ethereum smart contract,
yeah,
right? This just happened yesterday or today,
yeah,
right? So there's a very novel use case. Similarly, there was a couple in Chennai where they exchange virtual rings, via NFTs. Now, all of this is made possible via blockchain. So these are
yeah,
very novel,
yeah,
innovative use cases. So I give you two examples. One, which is directly affecting a common user, and you don't need to be a developer or a technical expert to exploit some of the existing blockchain platforms. Whereas the other one is an industrial use case, which is more sort of a backend technology use case. And if I were to generalize basis this, so there are three key categories of adoption that I
Mm-hmm.
would like to characterize, right? One
Yeah.
is where you're using blockchain technology as a way of transferring money, storing and transferring money and value,
Okay.
right? So here, what you're doing is you're disintermediating. That means you don't need banks. Today, everything that happens via digital banking online is nothing but just messaging. So there's instructions and advices and all, but the actual debit and credit of the value is happening at a third party, which we are implicitly trusting, which is banks because they are under regulation,
Yeah.
right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
in blockchain world, the inherent value will be stored with me in my wallet, which only I will have access to, which and
Yeah.
nobody else can destroy it, right? And if I need to transfer that money to you or transfer that value to you, I just do need a simple transfer to
Mm.
you. I don't need an intermediary or a bank to do it, right? So that's one category of use case. Of course, we can go into, so that's crypto, right? And we can go into tokenization, etc., which is another way of saying instead of a monetary value, anything of physical or real value or a virtual value, you tokenize it on the platform and that could be
Yeah.
sold. So there's a lot of that work happening.
Yeah.
Second category that I look at is data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Decentralization and democratizing of data. Today in the Web 2.0 world, you have data which is massively centralized today. So anything that you post today, let's say on LinkedIn or on Facebook
Yeah.
or on
Yeah.
Twitter, even though that's your expression, you don't own that
Yeah.
data. And that data has been now you're therefore governed by
Facebook or
whatever
LinkedIn.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
True.
So
Yeah.
your data could be monetized and you get no share of it.
I,
So
I I
forget
love
share of it.
really I love really the power of, as you are saying, that I should getting incentivized or getting money for my content on
Exactly.
Facebook or LinkedIn. Right. Yeah.
So first is whether you want to participate in it, and
Yeah.
second is you as a content producer
Yeah.
should be incentivized or you should be able to monetize and not somebody else,
Yeah.
right? So that's the
Agree.
second use case. And in fact, there are platforms. So for example, if you take
Mm-hmm.
Steemit, it's a decentralized social network. Anyone can post anything here. So in the Web 2.0, what Facebook and Reddit is what Steemit is, and it's based on blockchain technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where you can earn tokens for contributing to the network. So if you put a
Yeah.
post or upload a post or download a post or consume content, you are earning
Yeah.
tokens. So that's exactly to, so there
Okay.
are platforms today on blockchain which are already operating for a few years now, right, on blockchain. Third
Mm-hmm.
point is around governance. Today,
Okay.
all the governance and provenance that's happening out there, okay, is by is through intermediaries. So the
Yeah.
example of a bank, right? So today, for example, through the what is called as DAOs or digital autonomous organizations, which blockchain enables, anybody who's a participant onto that network has a say, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it is decentralized. Now you could use it for many different things. You could use this for shareholder voting, right? As to do you want to give dividends or not? A corporation wants to, get inputs from its shareholder, as against just the board deciding whether who should get and
Yeah.
what and when and how, right? And so on and so forth. Future of the platforms such as Ethereum, for example, the Bitcoin Foundation. So these are all governed by their charters and the foundations. The future of the platforms are decided and chosen by the participants again. So, like I said, these are the three large or
Mm-hmm.
three categories in which I see blockchain.
So just to summarize, number one, you said money transfer through the Bitcoin. Number two is the decentralization. What is happening? I should own my content and my expression. And number three is the
Correct.
governance. This is great. So you talked about metaverse. You talked about blockchain, and based on your experience, seems to be it's coming, and certainly it's there. So my question to you is how far we are from this revolution, how far we are.
Okay, let me try. So I wish, I wish I had, that power of prediction where I could say, okay,
Mhm.
this quarter of next year, then we'll turn the leaf and there will. So here's the thing. I mean, blockchain has been around us
Mm,
for almost a decade, right? First of all, I think it's important to recognize that blockchain, just like every other new technology, has gone through its hype
mhm.
cycle and is still living through its hype cycle, right? What
Okay.
Gartner says, like, at the first glance of technology, everything looks promising. And then as you start putting it through the first phases or as you start exploring use cases around it, that's when reality hits. So the first and foremost point that I want to say is there is this huge hype around blockchain.
Mhm.
And proof of the pudding, of course, lies in terms of, so there are platforms today. For example, there is Steemit today, like we just touched upon. There is Steemit today, which is a decentralized social platform. However, it doesn't do for a common man. If I'm already getting all of those things done on Facebook today or any other social media, and I'm giving like to like functionalities and
Mhm.
features today, what's my incentive to change platforms?
Yeah.
None, right? So one is that element. So therefore, the accusation or the allegation against blockchain always has been that it is a solution looking for a problem,
Okay.
right? So that's a little bit. So there is a little bit of hype. There is a little bit of imagination that is
Mhm.
required. But this is surely and definitely coming because ever since Facebook rechristened themselves to
Oh yeah.
Meta has got a whole lot of this whole universe around virtual
Yeah.
reality and platforms, and all of this is going to be underpowered by blockchain.
Okay.
So all of this is going to be a lot more real because the big tech firms are driving this initiative and they have the
Yeah.
most capital in the world, right? So the big tech firms, the large investors in
Mm.
new age tech, for example, Winklevoss brothers, who were part
Yeah.
of the Facebook founding team, today they are billionaires just based on the NFT, and they
True.
are again acquiring
So
startups and whatnot in this space.
so
One
I'm
last
cut.
comment is
Yeah.
one last
Okay. Go
comment
ahead.
that I have to make is blockchain essentially is a backend technology.
Mm.
We have to recognize that. And that work is still evolutionary in the sense protocols have still to be written. There are so many competing
Mm.
platforms and whatnot. So today that interoperability is not as simple as it is in the internet world. Internet world took about 3 decades to be where we are today.
Mm.
I think we have to give, although there is investment, although there's a lot of energy and talent that's been thrown at blockchain and the meta universe, we have to give it some time for it to become natural course of action.
Okay. So this is great. Let me ask you a very, very uh, interesting question with respect to the jobs, right? With respect to the career aspect, you talked about Meta, you talked about Web 3.0, you touched upon a little bit of NFT and all, right? And I know definitely as the money is being pumped into Meta, definitely, or as you say, AR and VR, right? So definitely it's going to be a next bit of technology. And I know, Jignesh, you have one of the interest into the wealth creation, right? So I
Yes,
strongly
sir.
believe if I'm doing somewhere job, it comes into the category of the wealth creation, right? It's a wealth creation because I'm working for the wealth
Yes,
only, right? So coming back
correct.
to my question, if somebody would like to create wealth, I mean, maybe they want to increase their salary 2x, 3x, or maybe 4x. So how to get started, how to kick start their journey, and what should be the right trajectory to move into this space in order to make some money over here.
Sure. Yes, I
So
think
you
this
don't
question
mind,
would
right?
be
It's
on.
all about money, honey, right? It's all about money and honey.
Absolutely.
How, why not? You can as a career, I can monetize.
Absolutely. In fact, you'll be amazed as to the amount of poaching that is going on the West Coast in US and also a little bit of that in India as well. And in Korea, of course, advanced countries like tech countries like Korea. There's so much of poaching going on for anybody who can even spell virtual reality and has done any amount of work in that space. So folks are jumping a lot of ships over there, but this is for real. So I would, the simplest mantra is to immerse oneself and learn. So what does that mean? Like, so you research as much as you can, you network, you join the community chapters, you participate in thought leadership, you consume thought leadership, you go to events, conferences. There's a lot of
Mhm.
documentation. There's a lot of material online. So I'm guessing that's the first step that
Okay.
anybody who's interested needs to take. But now, in terms of career tracks, I would look at it from, there are three specific career tracks that one can look at over here, right? If one is more technically oriented and let's say has a software development mindset and probably even has an experience in that space, then that's a definite area. As I just mentioned, a lot of technical developers in the meta world as well as in the blockchain world are jumping ships, and there's a lot of work to do and work at different levels. So if you are just, let's say, if you want to build a front-end facing app, which is called as
Mhm.
DApp, decentralized application in the blockchain world, there's tremendous opportunities, right, today to build that, where you build that whole framework out, either native or you'll build it on a third-party platform such as Ethereum, right? So and there's enough of content and online materials and education that's there today, paid and free and both, for one to really, really immerse into that space and learn, right? The other area that I see is, other than the dApps world, like I was saying earlier, today, if I were to go do find a parallel with the internet world, I do remember Vijay Mukhi. If folks who are of my generation will remember, people used to go and pay Vijay Mukhi, some fees every month or whatever to learn the internet. This is before the browser came along, because to sift through the internet, command line instructions were there and whatnot. TCP/IP protocols had not come, and some of those advanced protocols were not there. Just different computers were connected, and that was the internet. Eventually, the web protocol came, the browser came, where the
Mhm.
internet was now open to the masses, right? You
Yeah.
didn't need to be a technical developer. So I think that kind of work, we need a similar universal app or a browser. That kind of work, infrastructure work, is very much required in the blockchain world as well. Protocols, developing something as simple as an API today. Any applications in the web 2.0, there's a certain API that you publish and anybody can consume those endpoints and start those two applications. So
Okay.
we need something similar in that. So that's on the developer track.
Mhm.
If you are a creator or an artist or a content producer, right, there are umpteen number of platforms available even in the decentralized world today,
Mhm.
where you can showcase your art or showcase your work and you can monetize from it. So OpenSea, for example, today, NFTs, like that's a huge platform today, right? Then there are
Mhm.
platforms where even concerts are thrown open. So today, I don't need to be just a developer to participate into the blockchain revolution. I can be a creator and use one of the existing decentralized applications to post. And the beauty is, as compared to, let's say, Web 2.0, social media such as Facebook or LinkedIn or Google, I control my data. I
Oh yeah.
control the rules by which I wish to monetize my art or produce, and not just like one-time monetization. I could also set royalty every time a resale also happens, right? So I control that, and all of this is controlled through what is called as smart contracts,
Yeah.
right? So I, as a producer or a content artist, is fully in control. And then the last, as you said, if somebody is looking to participate in the volatile cryptos, then any investor with a little bit of extra money can, do crypto trading. There are umpteen number
Yeah.
of platforms today that are available for that.
So a
So
lot
those
of
are the
people
three
are
things that
hearing.
are possible.
Okay, a lot of people are hearing. There was a time when people talk about data science is sexy, data is the new oil. A lot of people monetize it. Do you think that uh, the similar kind of spike will come, or maybe demand will come into the blockchain space, and where there is opportunity at least for developers, for example, Ethereum developer, DApp developer, or maybe NFT developer can certainly monetize into the industry if they club it with different other Web 3.0 technology? Do you think this kind of possibility is there?
Oh, yes. I mean, see, that's the beauty with technology, right? With
Mhm.
technology, the possibilities are, just technically speaking, possibilities are endless,
Okay.
right? Then you need to marry it with, okay, what's the business implication of this? And particularly with something like crypto and blockchain, it's also important to recognize that one should understand the local and the federal legal implications around what you do, especially when there's movement of money
Yeah.
involved. Because see, one of the beauty with blockchain is I don't need a separate set of, along with my DApps, the payment layer is built in because it's an inherent holder storage of value and transfer of value,
Yeah.
right? I don't need to, in today Web 2.0, if I'm building an app, for example, I'll build my own business layer, then I'll have to tie with a payment gateway or with Stripe or PayPal or something else, right? And I'm giving away fees, by the way, a substantial amount of my fees. Here
Yeah.
or in a blockchain, both of them. So coming to your question, yes, there is marriage of data, video, because blockchain is agnostic to the content inside. I could put video as a content inside. I could put images as a content inside. I could put books as a content inside, right? Or transactions or anything can I put. So yes, it is going to be a marriage of technologies, and any technology today by default, I mean, you need to understand data, you need to mine
Yeah.
data. Therefore, data sciences automatically, are implicit with or enmeshed with the opportunities of blockchain.
Great. So I know time is ticking, Jignesh. I mean,
Sure.
the concept is storytelling and it's always very short. But this was great, really. Love to hear your thought process, your thought leadership, enrichment on the subject of blockchain, NFT, as well as crypto. Hopefully, next time we'll meet into the metaverse world. Hopefully, we'll meet into metaverse world. And of course, we can't marry because already we are married and we have lovely wife and kids. But hopefully, in metaverse, we'll meet. We'll definitely meet, and we'll hopefully we'll put it this video on NFT, and maybe we can monetize. Right?
There you go.
All
There
right.
you go.
Great.
Hope you can. I mean, hope we both can become celebrities out of that.
No, I mean you said right. I mean I can monetize, and then you can take the royalty, right? In that
So
way,
there's
both are.
already, so in the Indian context, there's already Amitabh Bachchan, there's already
Yeah,
Yuvraj Singh that are
yeah,
already very,
yeah,
very active and hyperactive, I must
yeah.
say, in the NFT
So
space, right?
Amitabh
So
Bachchan, this got auctioned in 3.8 crore day before yesterday. He's launching his own NFT. Why not? We both can launch it. I can launch it, and where I can give you royalty. So we don't know,
perfect.
right? Yeah. All right.
Perfect. And every view, royalty with every view, royalty with
Yeah.
if we can.
Yeah.
But listen, I mean, if this can help careers, if this can, just guide
Yeah.
budding people to be more excited about blockchain
Yeah.
and what it
Yeah.
can do, I think that's mission accomplished.
All right, great. So thanks a lot for accepting my invitation and reaching us in terms of your knowledge, and wish you all the best, Dignesh, for all your career endeavors.
Thank you very much, Madan. It was a joy being here. I wish you luck too.
Thank you.